What's up, Penn State fans? Welcome to Happy Valley Insider here on the Penn State Rivals YouTube channel. I'm Josh Taylor, and I'm going through a series of position evaluations just to get you ready for the 2023 football season for Penn State. So on the first episode, I actually took a look at the running back room that Penn State has coming up. Obviously, one of the best duos in all of college football, and a big-time transfer from a fellow Big Ten school, and then just let y'all see what that depth really looks like at the position and what you can expect out of that group this year. Just took a look at how special that freshman duo at the time, just how special they were last season and what they really did. So go check out that video. It'll be at the very end of this episode as a recommended video for you to watch. And then I'll also drop the link in the description. And as always, hit that subscribe button. And if you like what you see, hit that like button and comment your thoughts. Got some good feedback on the last episode. So I decided, I did offense on the first episode. Let's take a look at the defense on this side. Obviously, one of the most talented defenses in all of college football. You look at PFN, PFF, Draft Network. I mean, you name it. Our site, we're super high. Just not in general with us, but around the country, the nationwide media says, hey, Penn State has a very talented defense. So I want to break down each position and really take a look at it. So first position on the defense I'm taking a look at is this defensive line. And I'm telling y'all, I have some good nuggets for y'all, some things you probably didn't know. But the fate of this season, yes, you can look at Drew Allard, what he's going to do at quarterback. But I'm telling you guys, the fate of the season might heavily rely on this defensive line. I'm going to tell you why, so stay tuned. But first off, what I'm going to do is take a look at, not just edge rushers, but the inside, what we have at D tackle, and seeing, what we really have coming into this season. So I got the depth chart here. Shout out to Overlads. Always use Overlads because they are super accurate on everything. So starting out with the left side, we have Adisa Isaac. Had a good season last year. Could have been better in the run game. Could have made the more opportunities, in these pass rushing. You want to see a little bit more production out of Adisa Isaac, but still really good season, especially when you're teamed up with Chop Robinson on that other side. Your job is super easy. And I mean, in my opinion, I'm going to, break down each of these guys. I've got some big time numbers on not just Chop Robinson, but just the D-line as a whole and Penn State's defense as a whole that might surprise you. They made actual history last year when you want to talk about getting to the quarterback. So stay tuned for that. Then, of course, PJ Mustipher, who was here forever. He's gone. And now you have a defensive tackle group, in my opinion, that's going to look different. It's not going to be the same. When you look at PJ Mustipher, what he really was at Penn State and how his fit was. And at the next level in the NFL, regardless of whoever he plays for, I think he really translate well as a just old school nose tackle, over the center, zero tech D tackle for any defense. And I think, it's not just labeling him because of, certain things, but when you look at it, the production of getting to the quarterback, PJ Mustipher just didn't have that. That's not his game. That's not what they wanted to do. He was a space-filling, run-stopping D tackle, and at times it really did clash with guys like Hakeem Beamon or Dvon Ellies, who I'm super high on both these guys, and I'll take a look at the depth as well. But it just kind of clashed with that. You had a lot of, trying to put, square pieces in round holes on that interior defensive line. I think that's why we saw struggle in certain situations of getting to the quarterback, but then also, more importantly, stopping the run. What killed Penn State the most last year? Not being able to stop Michigan running the ball, not being able to stop Ohio State running the ball. Yeah, you can talk about those big-time turnovers, against the Ohio State game that really killed us. But I'm telling y'all, when you take a look at what really hurt Penn State, it was not being able to stop the run in those big games. And I'm here to tell you, Ohio State still has Travion Henderson and Myan Williams, and Michigan still has Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards this season. So I'm telling you guys, the fate of the season is on this interior D-line, if you ask me. So if you look at Hakeem Beamon, he has a big-time opportunity. I like Hakeem. I think he's had a great offseason so far. A redshirt senior. You need someone like that to step up. PJ Mustipher was a good leader. Like I said, he was here for a long time. He really set the standards for that D-line. That's the kind of guy who just, told everyone where to be. Yeah, he had some injuries, missed some time. So, Zane Durant got some opportunities out of that. I like Zane Durant a lot too. But let's take a look at just overall on the defensive line. And obviously, we all know how special Adisa Isaac is and how special Chop Robinson is. But I'm telling you guys, when you really look at the numbers, and of course, I use PFF, Chop Robinson was the highest graded player on the defense last year for Penn State, which really isn't surprising when you take a look at it. Chop Robinson, as a matter of fact, was actually the second highest graded pass rusher out of the entire FBS last season. First up was D'Anthony Jones out of Houston, who he's gone. So Chop Robinson is the number one edge rusher coming back this season in the entire country. He had a 92.4 grade, which is just out of there. I mean, Chop Robinson, and it showed on tape. The thing that impresses the heck out of me with Chop Robinson is how he gets to the quarterback. He has such a great arsenal of pass rushing moves. I'm telling you guys, like he's going to be a high draft pick next season. And there's a lot of really good edge rushers in college football this season. You look at Jared Verse out of Florida State, Braylon Trice out of Washington, Dallas Turner out of Alabama. I'm putting Chop Robinson in that conversation for one of the best, if not the best, pass rushers in college football this season. So we know that Chop Robinson is going to do what he's going to do. Like I said, he had a phenomenal season last year, regular season and in that Rose Bowl. I mean, he had an 89.7 grade on defense in just the Rose Bowl alone, a 91.5 pass rushing grade. Auburn, he was an absolute menace. And then he was just really good throughout the season. I mean, there's a lot of green here. The one thing that I want to see a little bit improvement out of, and it's out of the entire D-line, like I said, it's being able to stop the run. These aren't gaudy numbers. Like, they're not red. They're not, there's a couple bad moments when it came to tackling in the game. Maryland and Purdue in particular here, you missed some tackles. That, to me, is, when you're in pursuit to the quarterback, you still have to be able to stop the run. In my opinion, that's what really separates really good pass rushers to elite pass rushers, because not every situation, not every down, especially in college, we have a lot of RPO, a lot of run pass options when quarterbacks are pulling the ball out where it looks like it's going to be, a run. They can either pass it or they can run it themselves. You need to be able to stop the run on the way to the quarterback. So that's the one thing that if I had to critique Chop Robinson on one thing, it's not just Chop, it's the entire defensive line. It's because it showed last year, and that really put a lot of stress on those linebackers. So you go back to the Michigan game, you go back to the Ohio State game, you see when these running backs are getting to the second level, you have these linebackers who I'm excited to talk about in a video coming up soon. Don't worry. You have these linebackers. It just puts a lot of stress on them. They're dropping in coverage. They're worrying about that. And then now they have to go out. And then you have a guard that pulls, or you have a tackle that pulls, that climbs to that second level and picks up that extra block. And that creates these big time runs for Michigan and Ohio State last year. So that's what I'm really looking at. And I know if you look here on the thing, 41.5, tackle rating against Michigan. Like I said, these are the games you're really looking at. Ohio State, what does that run defense look like again against the top competition? And I'm not saying it was on Chop Robinson. It's just the whole defensive line needs to improve at stopping the run on the way to the quarterback. So Chop Robinson, I think he's poised to be the best pass rusher in all of college football this year. Like I said, he's got some big-time competition. Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Braylon Trice. Those are first-round talent guys. This edge class coming up is going to be phenomenal for the NFL draft, by the way. So Chop Robinson, you know what to expect out of him. I think he's going to be the leader this year. He's going to be the vocal guy. And, just talking to him after games and stuff in the locker room last year, he has that about him. Like he seems like the kind of guy who has no problem taking on that responsibility, just being a natural leader, being able to rally these guys around, like I said, put them in position, point out things, communicate with the rest of the D-line and really say, hey, this is what you need to look for. This is what's about to happen. But still, you look at the numbers last year, 48 total tackles, 5 sacks, 9 hits, 34 hurries, 2 batted passes. I mean, Chop Robinson was in the backfield a lot. He had win percentage all over the place. He has no problem getting to the quarterback. And I'm going to tell y'all something right now. This stat actually blew my mind when I saw it earlier. Did you know that Penn State last year has the most team quarterback pressures by a single team since 2014? Last year, Penn State had 321 pressures on the quarterback. And in second place was in 2021. Oklahoma State had 314. Third place since 2014 was the 2020 Alabama team that had 275. 321, the most team pressures since 2014. Penn State was right there at the top. So, I mean, it's just blowing stats out of the water. They had no problem getting to the quarterback. You know, when you're beating teams like Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia at getting to the quarterback, you're going to win some games. So they had no problem getting to the quarterback last season. It was stopping the run that really killed them. And you want to take a look at, I'll pull up Adisa Isaac next. Like I said, he, in my opinion, had a pretty good season. Didn't have the highest grades by any means. You want to see a little bit more production. He did have 4 sacks. He had 8 hits, 24 hurries. Like I said, stopping the run is what's really killing Adisa Isaac and some of these defensive linemen, but they have no problem getting to the quarterback. That Utah game, you saw, it seemed like that whole defense, their ears were pinned back and they were ready to get to the quarterback. 72.7 grade. But look at this pass rushing grade. I mean, you have high 60s, 75, 71.5, 74 here. Like, these aren't the craziest, stats jumping out saying he has some phenomenal season, but I think he's poised to have a really good season. He has great athleticism. He has a really good get off. He has a great motor. And I think this is a year that Adisa Isaac could really break out. Especially, like I said, when you have Chop Robinson on the other side, it really makes your job easy, puts a lot of stress on those guys. But behind them, you have Dani Dennis-Sutton and Amin Vanover, who, in my opinion, both were really good last year and not getting talked about enough. Vanover actually was the 10th highest graded edge rusher by PFF in the Big Ten last year. So Chop Robinson was one, and then at number 10 was Vanover. And that's the depth guy sitting behind Adisa Isaac. So you have really good depth. And we know how special Dani Dennis-Sutton is, big-time recruit for Penn State. They almost lost him. They were able to keep him here. And we saw a little bit of a flash last year of what Dani Dennis-Sutton could do. So I'm going to pull up Dani Dennis-Sutton because I think he's not getting talked about enough. You look at the Ohio game, you look at the Central Michigan game, he's hitting high 90, like in the 90s, like very high graded at getting to the quarterback. Once again, you want to see some of this as a little inconsistent, but I will say, out of all of the edge rushers, when it came to being a sure tackler, being a better run defender, Dani Dennis-Sutton was one of the better of the run stoppers on that D-line last year. Once again, you see this. Yeah, there's a couple of misses here, but a very consistent in the 70s, low 70s to the mid 70s PFF grade at being able to wrap up tackles. Majority of these are stopping the run when he's on the D-line. He's not really much in coverage. So I think, Dani Dennis-Sutton, this is a big-time season. This could be a breakout season for him. You want to talk about breakout candidates for Penn State and what, who could really be those guys that break out. I think this is a big-time year for DDS. I think he has a lot of opportunities. I think, we saw Manny Diaz last year rotate a lot. I think you'll see a couple different things about the linebackers, which, like I said, I'll talk about that in an upcoming video, and it might affect the edge rushers a little bit. But I think you'll see more of a rotation, especially when you're getting that kind of production out of him and Vanover. I'm telling you guys, I mean, he was hitting in the 90s some as well. He had an overall grade, I want to say it was like it was an 80. Shoot, what was it? It was an 80-something because I was like, there's no way. Yeah, he had an 83.7 overall pass rushing grade. Like I said, that was 10th in the Big Ten last year out of all edge rushers. And that was, limited snaps, but it just tells you with enough of a sample size, this guy is able to produce. So I think Penn State is in a big-time position when you take a look at the edge. They have great stars up front. Obviously, I think Chop Robinson's one of the best in the country, but then the depth that they have on the edge is stellar. So I'm not worried about what they are going to get out of their edge rushers. Are they going to be able to get to the quarterback? They showed last year they can make history at getting to the quarterback, and that's really going to help out those linebackers. And a secondary has a couple of changes. You got a lot of people back still, but it just allows your secondary and your linebackers to play more free. You know that they're getting to the quarterback. You know that quarterbacks are going to make some mistakes, throw these passes that they shouldn't, or not be able to set their feet like they want to because you are in their face. And that's going to help out guys like Kalen King, Zakee Wheatley, some of these guys, Abdul Carter, Curtis Jacobs up front. Like, there's the linebackers and the safeties are going to be able to get more production out of your pass rushers getting to the quarterback. So I think that is a big boost for Penn State, just knowing that you have that coming off the edge all season long. But like I said, I think that the season's going to depend a lot on in these big games because nothing much is changing for Ohio State and Michigan. If anything, Ohio State's going to be running the ball more because they don't have CJ Stroud back there. So you just never know. And Mayan Williams is a beast ready to take off. And like I said, Michigan has their deadly duo back. But then you have in the inside line here, and I want to talk about Hakeem Beamon, who I think, redshirt senior for both him and Ellies. Both of these guys got the experience. They've been here long enough. This is a perfect opportunity for them to step up. Now, one thing I'm going to note when it comes to Zane Durant, the sophomore, last year when it was 3rd and long, it was passing situations. Zane Durant was the best at getting to the quarterback on the inside. Zane Durant, when it came to pass rushing, he really had no problem. And I think, 6'1", 272, doesn't really have the build of a, pass rushing interior guy. But what really makes it hard when you are 6'1" is the pad level and everything. Something that people talk about with like Jonathan Allen for the Washington Commanders a lot. It's really hard because he gets them hooks up under the offensive lineman because he has that underneath leverage, and it really just drives people back to the quarterback. It's really hard to block as a interior lineman, whether you're guard or center. But when you go back and watch the tapes, like I said, it was limited snaps for Zane Durant, but it was these situations he was great in really high. I mean, I'm talking, he has some 70s pop up, not just on pass rushing, but when you look at tackling and then stopping the run, that second half of the season, Zane Durant really made a lot of those opportunities that he was getting. He was getting a little bit more here in the end of the season as it showed. Of course, like I said, when PJ Mustipher was hurt before, that's when Hakeem Beamon and Ellies was able to get in and get some more opportunities. But I think Zane Durant's going to see the field a good bit this year. I think he's one of these guys that Manny Diaz is going to love to rotate in. You could talk about Keziah Izzard. You could talk about I could see Vandenberg getting some reps. But I think you're going to get surprised about how much Zane Durant really plays this year. But I think this is a year for Hakeem Beamon to step up and be a big-time guy on that interior. So what did Hakeem Beamon look like last year? And once again, he saw the field a good bit, as you can tell. A lot of snaps last year. No sacks, 1 hit, 18 hurries, and 3 batted passes. So we talk about the running defense and how it struggled at times in the interior. I want to see these guys this season. And I know I just said Penn State was breaking records, making history of getting to the quarterback, but I still want to see this interior line show that they can get to the quarterback. Because what's happening, and it happened a lot last year, is that they're getting double teamed in the inside, and it's gashing the middle of the field on these runs. They have to be able to get off blocks. You're getting killed by stunts. It's just you're limited. When you're getting double teamed in the middle like that, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, they're going to be able to run right through that hole like they did last season. So in my opinion, you have to be able to get to the quarterback from the interior, but you have to really, really, really work on getting off those blocks and stopping the run in the meantime. Because like I said, it puts a lot of stress on those linebackers. So in my opinion, if you're Penn State, if you're a Penn State fan, and I'm taking a close look at this interior line. We know that Coach Franklin really wanted to hit the transfer portal for some of the D tackles, wide receivers. Like those are the 2 areas of concern. I still have some concerns. Just looking at it and just really, what went wrong last year and can I see a difference this year? I think Manny Diaz is smart enough to go back and watch the tape and say like, hey guys, this is what really killed us last year. We have to do a better job of getting off those blocks, stop eating these double teams and just leaving a wide open gap, and the A gap and the B gap, especially in the middle of the field to where our linebackers have to come up. They're out of position, and these big time runs are happening in the games where you don't want them to happen the most. So I feel really good about this defensive line overall. I think you have one of the strongest groups in all of college football when you look at Penn State's edge rushing. But then when you get to the inside, it's just this big wild card of, not guys who have shown a ton of production yet. I really do think that Beamon's going to have a good season. I think Ellies could have a good season. I think Zane Durant can surprise some people. You might see some young guys get some rotation on that interior line. But I'm telling you, Penn State has to be able to stop the running game this year. And it's crazy because you saw them stop the run against Auburn, and they had Tank Bigsby. Like, there was a good running game for Auburn, but for some reason, they just could not get off of these blocks against Michigan and Ohio State. At the end of the day, that's what killed them. But if Penn State wants to win the Big Ten, they want to get to the playoffs, they want to finally win these big games, against these top-ranked opponents, they got to stop the run. So let me know what y'all think. Are y'all worried about it? How confident are you in the edge rushers? Like I said, I think Penn State has, in my opinion, one of the best duos in college football. They certainly have one of the best edge rushers in college football. But what do you think? And what position group do you want me to take a look at next for this season? I'll be going back to the offense on the next video. Maybe get some former players on here to talk about the positions and their thoughts in the upcoming season. But like I said, hit that subscribe button and go watch the running back video and give me your thoughts on what the Penn State running back room looks like. And I'm Josh Taylor, and I'll see y'all next time.